Hey there, cats and kitties. I am the Blues Man, Johnny Blues, coming to you live once again with a brief first impressions video on the first episode of a new anime called Koi to Uso, or Koi to Uso, something like that, otherwise known as Love and Lies. And just got done watching this first episode, and the interesting thing is, it didn't quite work out the way I expected it to. It kind of, went against my expectations a few times over, and I actually found it relatively palpable because it really harkened myself back, watching what was going on, to a lot of, memories of unreciprocated and unrequited love scenarios when I was in school. Girls I had crushes on and would go to approach either directly or indirectly and be shot down, and all of the anxietized and sort of self-conscious feelings that born in me at the time, and a lot of that stuff. I mean, it's palpable. The tension in the episode, at least to me, was very much prescient. It was permeating the entirety of the episode, and I didn't know how exactly things were going to align. You're given this history lesson that, for all intents and purposes, a few decades back, the country Japan, became aware of this lessening of the gross national population, birth rates, and things of that nature, and so they implemented a governmental law where at the age of 16, people would, as though they were going to be drafted into the military, they would get a governmental notice pairing them with someone that they are required then to marry and have a family with, have children with, to basically keep the culture, keep the race going, that kind of thing. And understandably, there are, especially amongst the more youthful characters, the characters we're following primarily, these are people who don't like that. They don't want to have to conform to that. They don't want to have to be forced into that role, be sidled up with someone they might not actually care for and love. They want to find love. They want to follow their hearts. And so our main sort of focused character is this character Najima, who feels very much that way. And he has been smitten head over heels in love with, completely lovelorn over this girl he went to elementary school with by the name of Takasaki, who has this, gorgeous, luxurious black hair and these bright blue eyes. And she's just the picture of beauty to him, bar none. But they are both about to become of age, the age of 16, when they're going to be getting their governmental message telling them who they're going to be paired up with. And so a lot of the episode is his, recollecting back on their being in elementary school, how important he placed the act of sharing an eraser with her. He still keeps the half that was his own in a drawer in a box. It's so very special. He commemorates that interactivity with her where she thanked him. This was like one of the only interactions he had with her. And ever since then, he's been head over heels in love with her, obsessed with her. And he decides he's going to do whatever he can. One of his friends in class is actually sort of the one giving the clarion call to all their buddies. Let's rebel against the system. Let's follow our hearts. Let's find romance. Let's find love. That's very much what Najima feels internally. He's not so outward with it, but that's how he feels. And so he resolves he's going to confront her the next day and tell her in the hallway, in school. And I didn't. This was the first sort of aspect where it went against my expectations because I figured he would probably fail to do so. I've been there so many times where I just couldn't bring myself to reveal that I had a crush on a girl, that I was interested in her, I wanted to get to know her. And at first, that's kind of how it's playing out. And it's the tension, the anxiety within me is welling up because I know what that feels like. He calls to her. He says, I'd like to talk to you. And then he shares the memory of their time in elementary school. And it's bad. It's so bad because right then and there he realizes she doesn't remember it at all. And it turns out later we find she's actually been lying. She does remember. And but in that moment, with her revealing that, it's nothing she remembers at all whatsoever, he's like, never mind, I don't have anything to really talk to you about. Sorry I bothered you. Go to class. But then you see his fists clench, and he decides he's going to actually talk to her. And tell her, he basically tells her, look, meet me 6 p.m. in the playground outside of the school, or on the way home from school, whatever it is, and then I'll come clean with you. Then we'll talk. And so he's waiting for like 4 hours, 5 hours, even, coming to the attention of the local police, who tell him, you might want to go home, kid, But then finally she shows up, and this is where everything completely, I was like, this better not be a dream sequence. It turns out she's been harboring the same feelings for him since elementary school. She still has the other half of the eraser he shared with her. The kindness that he showed her still matters that much to her, and matters the exact same amount between them both. And so it just discombobulated me. I was like, holy hell. They're kissing, they're embracing, they're sharing their love with each other. And then he gets his governmental message, because it just happens to have turned midnight on the day of his birth. So it's his birthday, he's 16, and he gets a message on his phone. He activates it, and lo and behold, absolutely bewilderingly, it is Takasaki's name. The very girl he just confessed his love to, it's her name. They're paired together officially, but then his phone dies. And then very strangely, a couple of people walk up in suits and ties, a chick and a guy, bearing, allegedly, the official governmental documents saying who he's supposed to be with. And it's someone else. This girl, Lalina, whom he's never heard of. And at that point, I felt crushed. I felt like what he must have been feeling after she basically sort of, blows it off and says, well, I'm happy we were at least able to confess. I'm happy to have learned that we both felt the same way about each other. I'm happy to wish you a happy birthday, and I'll be happy. I can live the rest of my life satisfied knowing that we both felt this together in these few fleeting moments before now we have to be forever split apart. She goes to run. He chases after her. They embrace. They cry. And we leave off the episode with Lalina getting a message pairing her with Najima. And I'm just like, what the hell was with these governmental officials that came out of nowhere? The first message he got on his phone paired him up with the girl of his dreams that he's been so obsessed with since elementary school. But there's no going back now. Suddenly they're pairing him with someone else. It's like I'm looking at the alternate title, Love and Lies. Well, obviously the love is between them. They're sharing this love together. Their romantic feelings and aspirations toward each other. Where are the lies? And then I guess the government completely effed him over or something. I don't know. It seems like something nefarious is at work. Some kind of ominous game is afoot to now break that original message up, scramble it so, discombobulate it so it's not truth, it's not the facts, and they're going to pair him up with someone else. So it's tragic. And it's emotional, and I just found the entire episode emotionally racking because of how much I could relate to having a crush on a girl, wanting to confront her, most of the time not getting up the courage to do so, but the times I did, it blew back in my face. More times than not. A few times it worked out temporarily, but then other mitigating circumstances would come in, swoop in, and F it all up. And for that, calling back on my own anxieties and frustrations along those lines, I felt so much for Najima. And I was ready to cry by the end of episode 1 that now they cannot be together, and they're probably going to find a means by which to try to be together, try to stay together. I don't know. But it's fascinating. And so yeah, those are my first impressions on episode 1 of this particular anime, Koi to Uso, or Love and Lies. And I'm really going to be curious. I'm definitely going to be watching this one. I don't harbor any expectations to want to review this on a weekly basis. I don't know. It's too early to tell. Might go ahead and write, little mini reviews over on Facebook or something. Might come on and talk about it depending on how I feel after episode 2. But I'd love to hear from you guys. If you've seen the first episode, if you felt at all similarly to how I did watching it. And if not, why not? Let me know in the comments below. Just love having that conversation. And so yeah, otherwise it'll be pretty much it for me on this. Hope this video finds you well, and I'll catch you all later. Peace.